Good evening. Welcome to the September 22nd, 2022 regular monthly meeting of the Portsmouth City School Board. I ask you please stand now for a brief moment of silence. Thank you so much. You may be seated. We have some special VIP guests here with us on this evening, and I ask Dr. Bracy to introduce them at this time.
Good evening, and thank you, Dr. Patillo. I see that everyone this being our first meeting of the school year. You know, when I say good evening, you know, everybody's still very much quiet. But hey, we are back. We're back in school. We're back at work, so we're ready to get started with this school year. Things are going well thus far. But to get things started tonight, I wanted to recognize we have students tonight with us from Manor High School, and you'll see that a lot of do have some administrators here tonight that are representing Manor. Manor is also having open house tonight, so you know you won't see Dr. Johnson as well, but we are still have the students that came and are ready to share the Pledge of Allegiance and the school statement. So at this time, the person that'll be presenting the Pledge of Allegiance, Arthur Smith. If you will, as you come down, I will read a little bit of background information on you. Arthur is a sophomore at Manor High School. He's an honor student with a 3.8 GPA. He is a cadet sergeant rank in the JRTC program, and he serves as a cadet battalion public information officer for Manor Mustang Battalion. In addition, he's on the color guard team and is the drill team commander. Through his efforts last year, he contributed to the JRTC program accreditation inspection of Manor High School by briefing Fort Bragg in all 4 categories, in which they finished in the top 3% out of 1,700 of all JRTC programs. I think that deserves a round of applause. He aspires to graduate from Manor with honors and enroll at Old Dominion University and major in business and become a machinist. Next, I would like to ask Michaela Smith to come forward at this time. She'll be providing the school statement. Michaela is a senior at Manor, and she has lived in Portsmouth her whole life. In school, she has worked to get more involved in the opportunities that they offer. She participates in the Student Council Association, National Honor Society, Upward Bound, and the Manor High School Chamber Choir. She has a 3.9 GPA. With this, she hopes to continue her education at North Carolina A&T State University, Aggie Pride. In her free time, she enjoys hanging out with friends and family and encouraging a positive and welcome environment for everyone. So thank you both for being here this evening, and we will get started now with the pledge. Arthur.
Please stand for the pledge to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You may now be seated.
Good evening.
Good evening.
On behalf of Manor High School, I would like to thank you for allowing me to come and represent their school tonight. My name is Michaela Smith. I'm 17 years old, and as Dr. Bracy said, I'm a senior at Manor High School. I participate in the Student Council, National Honor Society, and the Trio Upward Bound program, and the MHS Chamber Choir. I enjoy spending my time with friends and family and encouraging a positive and welcome environment for everyone. Tonight, I stand before you to talk about the well-being and beautiful updates that have been added to Manor High School during the summer. Manor High School has added new renovations and updates to help make this school a better learning environment for all. The school has new floors, painted hallways, and signs that represent each educational wing and the gym area. These new improvements around the school not only show tremendous Mustang spirit, but it makes the school pleasing to the eye and a happier place for all of the students. Along with these updates, Manor High School has various sports, clubs, electives, and other activities this year that will help keep the students well-rounded. A few examples of these activities would include our men's football team, JV and varsity cheerleading, field hockey, cross country, golf, volleyball, esports, robotics, performing arts classes, and the forensics team as well. We at Manor High School strive each day to not only accommodate each student's learning style, but to enhance the education itself to the best of our abilities. Because of this, 2 members from our school, Earth Science teacher Mr. Paul Sarandria and student Elisha Williams, have been selected to represent Manor High School at the Jason Argonaut Expedition. This esteemed science program, which will take place in Boston, Massachusetts this year, allows high school students from all across the United States to learn from scientists and engineers while participating in hands-on fieldwork that will also allow the students to engage in STEM-related research. We are so proud of you both and cannot wait to hear about your accomplishments. This year, Manor High School was so grateful to humbly receive new books from our library to donate towards our early childhood program. We are always looking to give back to the younger generations because the youth is our future and will continue to carry on the Mustang legacy. With that being said, I thank you for taking the time to allow me to share just a few tidbits that are taking place at Manor High School. We look forward to an incredible semester and academic school year. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you both. And I would like to recognize Dr. Hairston and Mrs. Shears Walker, the assistant principals from Manor. If you all just wave your hand back there. Thank you all for coming as well and supporting the students.
Board members, do you have any comments at all? Thank you both. Oh, Ms. Thomas.
I was just going to say thank you both. Same thing, that you excellent report. Looking forward to what you accomplish in the future, and thank you both for being outstanding and great examples for the current students. So thank you. Continue to let your light shine.
Thank you both for coming. Agenda item 3.5 is a school board mission statement. Board Member Thomas.
Yes. The mission of the Portsmouth Public School Division is to engage all students in learning that will foster academic excellence and responsible citizenship.
Thank you so much. Agenda item 3.6 is attendance. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Ms. Atkinson?
Yes. I mean,
Doc-
here, sorry.
It's okay.
Dr.
Here.
Cotton? Mrs. Thomas?
Yes.
Mr. Tillage?
Here.
Dr. Whitaker?
Here.
Mrs. Williams? Here. Dr. Patillo?
Here.
7 members present, 2 members absent.
Thank you so much. Agenda item 3.7 is a roll call vote for the approval of the agenda.
I would like to make a motion that we combine agenda items 5.3 through 5.8 for consent agenda.
Second.
Motion was made by Mr. Tillage, second by Vice Chair Atkinson. Any discussion? Seeing none, roll call vote, Madam Clerk.
Ms. Atkinson?
Yes.
Dr. Cotton?
Yes.
Mrs. Thomas?
Yes.
Mr. Tillage?
Yes.
Dr. Whitaker?
Yes.
Mrs. Williams? Yes. Dr. Patillo?
Yes.
It's unanimous.
Thank you so much. So I will now entertain a motion for 3.7, approval of the amended agenda.
Move for approval.
Motion made by Vice Chair Atkinson, second by Mr. Tillage. Any discussion? Seeing none, roll call vote, Madam Clerk.
Ms. Atkinson?
Yes.
Dr. Cardin?
Yes.
Mrs. Thomas?
Yes.
Mr. Tillage?
Yes.
Dr. Whitaker?
Yes.
Mrs. Williams?
Yes.
Dr. Patillo?
Yes.
It's unanimous.
Thank you so much. One of my favorite parts of the night, agenda item 4.1, is our student representative report by Ms. Akins. And this will be her first official report as our new student representative. Welcome as she comes.
Good evening, board and guests. My name is Nashira Akins, and I'm a senior this year at Churchland High School. I'm so excited to get started this year, and I have a lot of ideas focused around one word: unity. I want to bring together everyone in our community, no matter their differences and what they're going through. I specifically want to focus on our friends in special education. I feel as if we don't have enough of them participating in extracurriculars and after-school activities. I do want to promote more special education involvement by making sure students and parents are aware of everything being hosted during and after school. This idea of mine stems from growing up with an autistic brother, and I've seen him not really be in the mix yet, even though he's not even in high school or middle school yet. I see how it's going to probably go, so I just want to make sure when I leave, my initiative sticks and everyone participates no matter what. So yeah, I'm really excited.
Okay.
Board members have any comments or questions at all? Well, I want to say thank you so much. Great job. And we know most of our important initiatives are started by our student representatives. Our anti-bullying initiative was started by a representative, and now we're looking forward to your initiative as well. So we thank you, and we know you're going to do a wonderful job.
Thank you. Thank you.
Agenda item 5.1 and 5.2 will be read by Dr. Cromartie.
We saved his life, too.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, member of the board. Tonight I bring forth two resolutions for board consideration. The first, recognizing October as School Bullying Prevention Month. It reads, the light's bright and the mic stand doesn't hold. We'll get it right here. I'll hold it. Whereas school bullying has become an increasingly significant challenge in the United States and Virginia, and whereas over 20% of youth in the United States is estimated to be involved in bullying each year, either as the bully or the victim, and whereas students who experience bullying are at increased risk of depression, anxiety, sleep difficulties, and lower academic achievement, and whereas bullying can take many forms, including verbal, physical, and most recently in cyberspace, and can occur in many places on and off school grounds. And whereas it's important for Virginia's parents, students, teachers, and school administrators to be aware of bullying and to encourage discussion of the issue as a school community, and whereas the Portsmouth School Board has developed a policy on anti-bullying and encouraged positive behaviors to significantly decrease incidents of bullying, now therefore be it resolved that the Portsmouth School Board recognizes the month of October 2022 as National Bullying Prevention Month, with the intention that the issue of bullying and its prevention be discussed in our schools and classrooms throughout the month.
Move for approval.
Second.
Motion made by Vice Chair Atkinson, second by Mr. Tillage. Any discussion? Roll call vote, Madam Clerk.
Ms. Atkinson?
Yes.
Dr. Cardin?
Yes.
Mrs. Thomas?
Yes.
Mr. Tillage?
Yes.
Dr. Whitaker?
Yes.
Mrs. Williams?
Yes.
Dr. Patillo?
Yes.
It's unanimous.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The second resolution is a resolution of special recognition of National School Bus Safety Week. Whereas National School Bus Safety Week is held during the third full week of October each year, and whereas the bus drivers and transportation department of Portsmouth Public Schools are vital to the success of our students, and whereas National School Bus Safety Week is an active and evolving public education program, an excellent way for parents, students, teachers, motorists, school bus operators, school administrators, and other interested parties to join forces and address the importance of school bus safety. And whereas the theme of National School Bus Safety Week is safely rolling to my destination. Now be it resolved that the Portsmouth City School Board designate October 17th through 21st as National School Bus Safety Week. And be it further resolved that the board extend its sincere appreciation to our dedicated school bus operators and transportation department personnel who provide a critical component to educating youth. And be it finally resolved that this resolution be made part of the school board's official minutes and that copies be forwarded to all schools and administrative offices.
Move for approval.
Second.
Motion made by Vice Chair Atkinson, second by Ms. Thomas. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, roll call vote, Madam Clerk.
Ms. Atkinson?
Yes.
Dr. Cotton?
Yes.
Mrs. Thomas?
Yes.
Mr. Tillage?
Yes.
Dr. Whitaker?
Yes.
Mrs. Williams?
Yes.
Dr. Patillo?
Yes.
It's unanimous.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Agenda item 6.1 is public comment, non-agenda items. Madam Clerk, do we have any speakers?
Yes, sir. As part of the school division's dedication to full transparency and collaboration in decision-making, the school board of the city of Portsmouth allocates time for public comment at every regular meeting of the month to hear directly from citizens on matters of public concern regarding Portsmouth Public Schools. If you wish to address the school board, you must register with the clerk of the board ahead of the scheduled meeting start time. During public comment, each speaker will have 5 minutes to share their comments with board members. Speakers are not allowed to yield their time to another speaker, and they are not to make any formal resolutions, declarations, or proclamations as part of their comments. Speakers are reminded to maintain decorum and respect while addressing the board. Specifically, no individual personnel, student, or family should be named in comments, as speakers are at their own risk of violating confidentiality laws and/or defaming the subjects of their comments. Neither the school board, the superintendent, nor school administration will respond publicly to any comments by speakers. A written copy of speakers' comments can be left with the clerk of the board, and any matter requiring a response will be directed to the superintendent and school administration to address as needed. As the board opens to public comment, the audience is asked to be respectful of all speakers. Ms. Dearica Johnson.
Hello,
Good evening.
Good evening.
I'm here. My daughter goes to Craddock Elementary. This was her first year as a kindergartner. The experience that we've had here so far in our first 2 weeks has been very chaotic and distasteful, if I should say so. It started with the after-school program. On the very first day of school, I asked, what's the after-school program, who's running it? I was told by a lot of people in the office, a lot of administrators in the office, that they didn't know. One lady, she told me to come up here and speak with the Parks and Rec. I did that when I got here. I spoke with the secretary at the office. She didn't know anything about it. It wasn't on the website. Every day thereafter, there was some type of incident where there wasn't staff there. On the Thursday of the first week of school, I was called to come get my child because there was no equipment there. On Friday, she was picked up early, so I spoke with the Parks and Rec, I guess, director. He told me that they were having issues staffing the program and that they were getting it together. On Monday, I was working and I missed a phone call from the Portsmouth school, so I called back, and this time it was 4:45, school's over at 3:30, and they told me that my child was in the office because the Parks and Rec staff told them she was not registered to be there. So I was kind of upset about that because this is why I had been calling. I called the school board, I called the Parks and Rec, I also called Alphabest, which is who her teacher told me was running the program, because I did not want my child to be sitting in the office like the other students had been the first, the second, and the third day. So then I started thinking about it, so I called on Friday. This was Tuesday. So I called on Wednesday and spoke with the office, and I asked them, who called me yesterday to tell me that my child was in the office. She put me on the phone with the principal. So I asked her, well, why wasn't everyone on her emergency contact list called? And she told me that she doesn't know, that she was told to call the parents. Well, she called the parents, and we were not available, we're working. But the third person that's on her contact list lives 2 minutes away from the school, who ended up being there at the same time that I called the school back about my child being in the office. To me, that's unacceptable. And then so I asked the principal about the after-school program. She kept telling me, we're not affiliated with the after-school program, we just house this program. And I told her, I haven't been in school in a long time, elementary school, but when I was in school, the principal knew things that happened before school, after school, during school. The principal had knowledge of these things. So I felt like for her to tell me that she didn't know anything about this program was unacceptable. Also, my other concern is that I was told on the first day of school that there isn't a bus for the neighborhood. That's the schools in the same neighborhood. And I see a lot of kids walking to school in the morning, and we get to school maybe like 8:25. School starts at 8:30. I know that those kids are not making it to school by 8:30. There's a lot of buses that come through the neighborhood. I don't understand why there can't be a bus stop. I do see a little girl who appears to be in elementary school getting picked up across the street, but there are other kids that are walking to school. I think that's very dangerous, and I don't think that that should be allowed. I also raised questions on the back to school night about homework. Today was the first day that my daughter came home with homework. When I was in school on the first day of school, we came home with a whole packet of papers that the parent had to sign with emergency contacts, school dress codes, things like that. None of that was received. I think that it's unacceptable. I'm not sure what goes on around here, but when I was in school, these are things that were done. And my main concern really is that with the principal telling me that she doesn't know anything about this after-school program. When people send their children to school, they expect for them to be taken care of, and they expect for at least the principal and their teacher to know what's going on. And so, I don't know what's going to go on or what needs to be done, but I feel like I am babysitting. I'm a working parent, and I kind of feel bad for the other kids whose parents may not come up here, they may not call, they may not care, they may not have the knowledge or the resources to do so, and I think that it's unfair. Also with the after-school program, I'm kind of on the fence about it, and I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to do next, but my daughter, we had a conversation this morning. I noticed that she had picked her nail polish off of her fingers. So I asked her why, and she told me that one of the little kids at the after-school program have been teasing her because she has her nails painted. And so...
I'm sorry. The 5 minutes is up, and I'm going to ask the board members if they don't mind you continuing. Is that okay?
That's fine.
She told me that the little girl was picking on her because her nails were painted. She told me that the little girl goes to school upstairs, so I'm assuming this is a 4th or 5th grader. I don't really understand why 4th and 5th graders would be in the same group after school with kindergartners. So to me, there's no order here, there's no communication. I'm from Williamsburg, and I don't know, this is really different for me. And this is our first year in public school, and it's been kind of a headache, and we're only on our 3rd week of school here. That's all I want to say. I don't know what's next, what comes next, but I just think that this whole experience so far has just been unacceptable.
I do want to thank you for coming out, and I want to apologize that your first 2 weeks haven't been favorable. I know as a parent you want to make sure your children feel safe when you leave them at school. I personally can't address all the issues, but as far as I know, the after-school program for that school, that program is actually ran by Parks and Rec. So the school is just the host site for it, but as far as the programming of it, the direction of it, the leadership of it is all done by the Parks and Rec department for that. But I'm sure that we can make sure that our principal has the information from Parks and Rec in reference to that, but I'll allow Dr. Bracy to address those concerns more with you.
Was it anything else that we needed to add, Dr. Cromartie, about the Parks and Recs? I know that you've been working with them in regards to allowing them to have spaces in our schools.
Yes, sir. I just want to make a distinction for informational purposes. We contract a service called Alphabest. It's not in all of our elementary schools. It is in several. Craddock does not have the subscribership, so they didn't open a center there. That would be our affiliate for before and after school care. In other schools, Parks and Recreation runs free programming for students after school. That runs separate and apart from us. Not to excuse the principal not having information for you, but just to bring some clarity and make a distinction between AlphaBest, which is our before and after school care provider, and Parks and Recreation, which puts on programs as a mechanism of the city for students after school, if that makes sense.
Can I speak? Yes, it makes sense, and I understood that. However, I feel like if you have a free program and you aren't able to staff it, why offer the free program? I understand that there may be other families in the area who maybe can't afford it, but I feel like as a parent, I would rather pay for an after-school program if you're gonna have staff there that's gonna look out for my child. And my daughter only goes there for maybe 30 minutes to an hour after school when we get off. But there are other kids who are there all evening, and obviously they aren't doing much if she's able to be picked on about her fingernail polish.
Right. No, I definitely understand that, and I definitely feel and empathize with you. And what I would prefer is if someone from the school division could actually contact you to address your concerns personally.
That's the thing, though. I've been contacted a lot, and everyone says, oh, it's not me, it's them. Oh, it's not me, it's them. And so to me, there's no communication here. It's no unity, you know, and so it seems like everyone's on different pages here. And again, I'm not used to this.
Okay, so what we'll do, Dr. Cromartie will, if you will give him your contact information, we'll make sure that we coordinate that with the principal and try to get all your questions answered.
Okay.
Okay.
But again, thank you so much for coming in, and we did hear your concerns. Thank you. Madam,
I do have a question. Not part of
Ms. Thomas?
Yes, sorry, thank you. So I have a question. I think maybe Dr. Cromartie can answer it. Sorry. So I just heard you say some of our schools have AlphaBest, some have Parks and Rec. Do we know if our other schools that are contracted with Parks and Rec, are they having staffing issues? And if we don't know, can we find that out? Because that might need something we need to look at
Yes, ma'am.
further.
Yes, ma'am.
If we're not aware of those issues and they're not able to have the proper programming at our schools?
They have had some staffing challenges in other schools. We have consolidated, which we hope will help them, and I can't speak for Parks and Rec, but we hope that that will help them with some of their staffing challenges. They were actually running programs in 3 of our schools that also had AlphaBest, and we had to, based on our contractual agreement with AlphaBest, consolidate programs at those 3 sites. So my hope is the staff from those 3 schools, the Parks and Rec staff, can now be reallocated to the schools that don't have AlphaBest programs. Again, that's not my promise. I don't make those decisions, but that's what I anticipate would happen.
Okay. All right, and then, I'm sorry. And after that kind of look at the current staffing and operations of Parks and Rec, can we also look at the option of if there's a way to subsidize AlphaBest in the schools that don't have the enrollment to bring those programs up to standard for aftercare, if possible, just to kind of get all of our options so that we can have some type of good after-school options that are consistent with what parents would want. Thank you.
Vice Chair Atkinson.
Thank you, Chair. The only concern I have, Dr. Cromartie, if this could be kind of addressed with Parks and Rec, from what I heard from the parent was that their child was denied registration, and it didn't seem like that particular program was full. So that could have been an easy phone call to, if they couldn't reach the parents, like she said, going down the line of contacts. I don't feel like that, was appropriate, especially if the program wasn't full. We serve children, so I don't want any child being denied. That's my personal opinion, but can we look into that?
One of the solutions I'll offer tomorrow is that we connect the parent directly with Mr. Mark Palmachuk, who coordinates our Parks and Recreation programs. It's difficult for me as an intermediary because that's his department. It runs separate and apart from us. And I don't say that to disown the issue. I say that I could promise that tonight, but that's not a deliverable that I can guarantee. But I can guarantee that I will connect and engage Mr. Palmachuk in this issue and see if he might bring resolution.
And my only comment is if Parks and Recreation can't feel like they can maintain that program or handle it, then we as a board may need to look at other options.
Our other option as far as after-school programming is Alphabet.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we didn't have enough numbers for that to actually meet at that school. You know, they would be at every elementary school if we had the numbers. So they base their programming on what's available at the schools as far as parents applying.
Ms. Williams, then Ms. Thomas.
Thank you, Chair Patillo. I was going to say that the after-school programs are really done by Alphabet or Parks and Rec. And as it was stated earlier, we are the host site, but we can't tell Parks and Rec, you know, how to staff it or what to do. And I got a call from a parent that she wanted Alphabet, but at the elementary school that her child went to, there were not enough students to have Alphabets there. So what I did, I gave her a couple numbers of schools that I knew, academies or whatever, that will pick up kids before and after. Because like we have to realize we have no control over everything, especially if the students are not there for the program, enough for Alphabets to do it, and we have no control over Parks and Rec, what they do, but we can, you know, insist if they're not staffed or able to staff it correctly, then maybe they don't need to be in the building, and give the students and the parents the options of some outside places they could look into.
Ms. Thomas.
Sorry, thank you. And I'm so sorry I forgot your name, but you brought up a point about you were looking for information on the website, and you asking the administration of that school as well. And so I did have a chance just to go on the website, and that information is not there. And I know that our schools, our individual schools run their websites, right? Is that correct, Dr. Bracy? Is there, and I know our staff is stretched thin at some of our schools, so some information has not been updated. But can we get that type of information under the resource page? Because as a parent, you are always searching for information, and it would be great to know that there's a contact information for after school, before school care, for that particular school or all of our schools. So I don't know if that's something we can have someone help that particular school with, or is it just on the school? Do we have some like resources that can help update that information on that school site? Okay.
We'll start working on that tomorrow.
Okay, thank you. I just think that doesn't solve everything right now, but just having the information available would be beneficial.
Are there any other board member comments? Thank you so much. I entertain a motion for agenda items 7.1 through 7.13.
Move for approval.
Motion made by Ms. Vice Chair Atkinson, second by Ms. Williams. Any discussion?
Yes. I'm going to ask that we pull item 7.7. That's a contract under consideration, and the MWBE recommends that it not be approved at this time.
I guess, move for approval? So two
We,
motions.
we have a motion from Dr. Whitaker to pull agenda item 7.7, contract for utilization for a cooperative contract, and I believe this is an engineering contract
Yes.
for our CTE renovations.
Yeah, the MWB program administrator, says that the contract doesn't meet the requirements of the program.
Yeah, I'll allow other comments, but I was reading that earlier, and I saw that it was a cooperative contract. And first of all, this is our contract that we're trying to utilize to renovate facilities so that we can bring some of our CTE programs in-house. And what I thought I saw that the company was a woman-owned company, but I'm gonna get Mr. Falk or Dr. Brace, I'm sorry. If I'm calling him up and give us any details on it, that's just my.
Good evening, Chairman
Good
Patillo, Vice Chair Atkinson, School
Good
Board, Dr. Bracy. This particular contract is a contract coming through Williamsburg, James City County Schools on a cooperative basis. And it has a number of A&E companies on it. There are 3 women-owned companies on this particular item, as well as a number of small businesses and some micro businesses as well. And Dr. Whitaker is correct. The letter does state from my MWB chairperson that she deemed it as not meeting our MWBE policy. However, there are certain people on this bid that are women-owned, which I believe would meet the requirements of our program. But from her end, she says that it does not.
Okay, so yeah, that was my question. That's what I was wondering, what the reason was for her stating that it did not meet the requirements. I'm not sure if you.
So she spoke with you about it, Dr. Whitaker. Can you elaborate on it?
Well, it states in the statement that there are 166 MWBEs in the EVA directory, with 16 in the Hampton Roads metropolitan statistical area. And I believe the rationale would be that this could be, I guess, bidded out
Versus a co-op.
versus a cooperative contract.
So to clarify to the board members, versus a cooperative contract, this could be awarded to an actual one business owner or multiple small business owner versus the cooperative contract. Because there are 16 available in the Hampton Roads area. So we want to give opportunity for those businesses to be involved in the process.
Okay. We do have any other comments on it first? We do have a motion to remove it. My only objection to it is that if we do bid this contract out, then we won't be able to start renovations on the CT facilities anytime soon. And my concern is that I know one of our board priorities is to bring our electrical, our welding, our GoTech, our building construction back in-house, our auto mechanic back in-house to our school division, so that all of our students can begin to participate in these programs. Right now they're hosted with Tidewater Community College, and many of our students don't qualify for those programs. They don't have access to those programs. So I know for myself, I will vote against removing it from the consent agenda. So I would like to get started on it as soon as we could. That would be my only objection to that. Do we have any other discussion?
So if I may, Chair, a RFP can be done in 30 days, so I don't think we had a projected.
No, it can't be done.
Excuse me.
30.
On this type of
On this one?
on this type, it's not
What's
going to be
the
30 days because with a A&E contract, you're going to have to keep the RFP out there, as you said, 30 days. But the evaluation of that RFP takes a long time. If you look at this particular contract, they have a number of companies on the contract. Depending on how many people would respond to that, you would have to have pre-bid visits so that they would know what they're proposing on. And then after that, the committee that would we put together to put something together like this in place, the review and all of the reviews would take a little time because you're going to get a number of proposals. It's not going to be something that you have one or two proposals in many cases. It's going to take a little time, and then the interviews and so on and so forth. So this one is not like a regular RFP. It would take a little time because it involves A&E services.
And my only heartburn with this is that we had conversations previously about cooperative contracts. And if there is, availability of, businesses out there that we would actually put out an RFP. So I guess the initial thing is, why wasn't there initial RFP put out for this? And also, we hired a MWBE program administration as a board. And just like any other governance, if that recommendation is to remove that, we're all pro CTE. I think we all want to see this happen in our schools, but we have policies and people in place to get things done and make recommendations. So that's my 2 cents on it.
And question, to follow up, why wasn't it put out as a bid for proposals instead of a corporative
Well,
contract?
if you recall, we found out about this at the retreat. We had just gotten the information. Some of the things that we have to do in this regard is VDOE has to make some recommendations to us about what we can do, what we can't do, programming, so on and so forth. Getting all of that, we have to get all of that together to get a scope of services done. So there are a number of different things that are going on. My team, at the behest of the board, we tried to find a way where we found something that would help us from the standpoint of having the depth and breadth of companies that could do whatever we wanted. Because right now, we don't have all the details of everything that will need to be done in the school level. And then two, having the ability to kind of do it as quickly as we possibly can, especially with a planned date of, I believe it was January, to have the Go Tech plant program going forward. So this was our best way of doing that. Now, obviously, at the request of the board, if the direction is to go and do an RFP, we will do that.
We do have a motion and a second to remove. Do you have any more discussion? So, Madam Clerk, this vote will be to remove the contract from the consent agenda.
Yeah, but
Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Carroll.
So the procedure would be Dr. Whitaker makes a motion to amend the previous motion, which would then need a second and a vote to amend the motion. And then you go back to the amended motion, if that passes, to then vote on that.
Thank you, sir.
all right. I move to amend the previous motion.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to amend the previous motion. Any discussion?
I'm confused. Which is the previous motion?
The motion was made to approve the consent agenda. So now a motion has been made to amend that motion.
Amended, I'm sorry, how?
To amend it to remove the contract 7.7.
Can you say that completely? So the motion is to amend to remove 7.7? That's the motion? Okay.
From the consent motion. So we have a motion and a second.
Okay,
Roll
now-
call vote.
And the motion was from Dr. Whitaker?
Yes, the second from Vice Chair Atkinson.
Thank you. Ms. Atkinson?
Yes.
Dr. Cotton?
No.
Mrs. Thomas?
No.
Mr. Tillage?
No.
Dr. Whitaker?
Yes.
Mrs. Williams?
No.
Dr. Patillo?
No.
5 yes, 2 no.
Thank you. And now we have a motion on the floor to approve the consent agenda with all
I'm sorry,
items involved.
5 no's, 2 yes.
Thank you. Now we now have a motion and a second on the floor to approve the consent agenda with all the items listed.
Move for approval.
Second.
No, we already have we already have the motion. It's a roll call vote, Madam Clerk.
Okay. Ms. Atkinson?
No.
Dr. Cotton?
Yes.
Mrs. Thomas?
Yes.
Mr. Tillage?
Yes.
Dr. Whitaker?
No.
Mrs. Williams?
Yes.
Dr. Patillo?
Yes,
5 yes, 2 no, it passes.
thank you so much. Agenda item 8.1, the curriculum and instruction report. Dr. Nguyen.
Good evening, Dr. Patillo,
Good evening.
Vice Chair Atkinson, members of the board, and Dr.
evening.
Bracy. Welcome back to another exciting school year with Portsmouth Public Schools. You can see that I've shared with you some of the highlights in our school board documents there, things that have been happening during the month of September. Next month, we'll be excited to bring our special education team back with us to give a very special presentation from their students. And then each month moving forward, we'll have highlights from our students. We've had a great school year despite the challenges. You know that we are challenged with staffing and trying to make sure that we have teachers in each of our schools, but I think that our principals and our staff have done a wonderful job of welcoming students back despite these challenges. We're very positive, the energy is there, and we're doing everything that we can to get these positions filled and to find creative ways to bring instruction to our students and to keep our parents informed. So we are off to a good start this year. Any questions? All right.
Any questions, Dr. Nguyen? Thank you so much. Agenda item 9.1, student discipline.
I move to approve the readmission of student in case number 2022-23-01 on the following stipulations. Student to be immediately readmitted to virtual instruction and in-person instruction at the beginning of the second semester, January 31st.
Second.
Motion was made by Vice Chair Atkinson and second by Mr. Tillage. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, roll call vote, Madam Clerk.
Ms. Atkinson?
Yes.
Dr. Cotton?
Yes.
Mrs. Thomas?
Yes.
Mr. Tillage?
Yes.
Dr. Whitaker?
Yes.
Mrs. Williams?
Yes.
Dr. Patillo?
Yes,
It's unanimous.
thank you so much. Agenda item 10.1, monthly report. Dr. Bracy.
Good evening again, Chairman Patillo, Vice Chair Atkinson, members of the board. As I mentioned earlier at the beginning of the meeting, we're thrilled to be back in school. As Dr. Nguyen mentioned, we're off to a great start. And during our first days, we saw many of the board members out visiting schools that day. And I think you all will agree from what you saw that students were happy to be back in our buildings, and we were there ready to meet them. I'm also happy to report that we have continued to see a smooth return in the weeks that follow. I want to thank our administrative teams for being prepared and forward-thinking in their planning, as well as, again, our students and staff for their continued flexibility. I do have one more note regarding back to school for our families. There are state-mandated vaccinations students have to receive before they can attend school. For example, all 7th grade students are required to have the Tdap booster shot prior to the beginning of the school year. In addition, students must have the second dose of the meningococcal vaccine prior to the starting of their senior year. We want to make sure that parents know that these vaccines need to be taken care of. We've allowed students a 30-day grace period to receive these vaccines. However, proof of vaccination must be received by Friday, October 7th. For more information on how you can get your child vaccinated, please call the Portsmouth Health Department at 757-393-8585. Finally, I want to remind our community about 2 upcoming events hosted by the division. First, the PPS Office of Title I and Special Programs is hosting a Grandparents and Seniors Popcorn Social Thursday, September 27th from 11 to 12:30 p.m. at Emily Spong Center. This event is sponsored by Humana Healthcare and will provide information on healthcare benefits Medicare enrollment, and community activities that are available for seniors in our school community. In addition, for all families of Title I schools, Saturday, October 8th, there will be a Title I Parent Center open house where you will have the opportunity to tour the Parent Center facility and receive information about what is offered to support their child's education. For more information about either of these events, please contact the Title I office at 757-393-8392. Thank you, Chairman. That completes my report.
Thank you so much, sir. We now have board member comments. Mr. Tillage.
Thank you, Chair. First, I just want to welcome all the teachers and staff back to school. Starting our third week of school, and I'm hearing a lot of excitement from our students, and been hearing from our teachers and our staff, and I just want to thank you all for all that you do to prepare for this school year, and looking forward to a very successful school year as we continue to progress our school division. And then also, yesterday was a important day in the city of Portsmouth, because yesterday was it would have been the 166th birthday of Mr. Israel Charles Norcom, who are one of our most famous high schools, is named after I.C. Norcom High School. And so, he was a 30-year educator here in the city of Portsmouth, very respected, and his legacy continues to live on as I.C. Norcom celebrates their 109th year this year. So happy birthday to Mr. Norcom and to the Norcom alumni and the Greyhounds all across the city.
Thank you, sir. Dr. Cotton?
I agree with Mr. Tillage here with welcoming everyone back, but I also agree with him, and I'm just surprised that came from a trucker. So I respect you even more now. Have a great school year.
Any other, Ms. Williams?
I will make I guess, a public service announcement for Portsmouth Public Schools. My two granddaughters returned to in-person. They had been virtual for the past 2 years. And the youngest one says she absolutely loves her school, Lakeview, the teachers, the students. She loves, I think she was tired of being home. But anyway, she's just having a great year starting off. And the oldest one, I mean, when she went out, she was in middle school. Now she's a sophomore at Manor. And everything's going great. She has good reports as well. So I'm just thankful and grateful to PPS for the teachers and the staff. And we've had a difficult past few years, but we always weather the storm. So I just want to say thank you all for all that you do. And anything we can do to help you, including trying to always get you some more money, some more people, whatever we can do, we're supportive of that. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Ms. Thomas?
Thank you, Chair. I just want to publicly recognize our Ms. Lauren Nolasco, our Chief Communications Officer, our Superintendent, Dr. Bracy, and our Chair, Cardell Patillo, because they gave an excellent presentation with the, I'm going to forget the name of the conference, CSSSB, I think, COSBA, thank you, COSBA conference. They had the privilege of actually presenting twice to school boards across the country about building strong relationships between the superintendent, the board, and executive staff. And I just want to say they did an excellent job. They gave some excellent solutions to other school boards who even came up to them afterwards just to see some of the things that were in place that makes this board run the way we run the way that it does. We don't agree on everything, as you all can see, but we do it respectfully, and I think that's due to the great leadership of our chair, our superintendent, and also thank you to our communications officer. So I just want to recognize that publicly.
Thank you so much. We have two of our board members who are absent tonight, and so I'm gonna ask if our vice chair can give us a motion to remove our closed session agenda item off the agenda, and we'll pick that up later.
I would like to make a motion to remove agenda item 10.3 to our next work session.
Second.
Motion made by Vice Chair Atkinson, second by Ms. Williams. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, roll call vote, Madam Clerk.
Ms. Atkinson?
Yes.
Dr. Cotton?
Yes.
Mrs. Thomas?
Yes.
Mr. Tillage?
Yes.
Dr. Whitaker?
Yes.
Mrs. Williams?
Yes.
Dr. Patillo?
Yes.
It's unanimous.
Thank you so much. Subsequently, 10.4 and 10.5 was discussion items for the superintendent's evaluation, which we'll pick up at our next board work session. So thank you all for coming on tonight, and this meeting is now adjourned.